So earlier this year, we planned a trip with various stops in South America. Our first intended destination was to be Ecuador, but it just so happened that a couple weeks before our scheduled flight, an armed conflict broke out between the government and the drug cartels which are prevalent there. Obviously, being all the way in Canada, it's hard for us to know exactly what is going on there, but the initial reports that we were getting was that if anyone was outside after 11 p.m., cartels could potentially execute them. So we started to think about ways to salvage this trip. So what we eventually decided was that 3 days within the actual Amazon jungle could potentially be safer than being in the city. So we made the arrangements and changed our travel plans.
Made it through security, you know. Another one of those random checks they be giving me. Gonna be a lot of random checks on this trip. Gotta profile somebody, you know. Might as well be me. Croissants and beer for breakfast.
I think it's one of those glorious times where the profiling is in reverse.
So as long as your phone's compatible.
I downloaded it to figure out where the store is. I know where the store is, but
Ecuador bound during the middle of an armed conflict.
Go to connections.
Apparently if you're out after 11, cartels will execute you.
What kind of phone you got?
We'll see. Toronto to Panama City, and then on to Ecuador, and then into the Amazon jungle. How are you feeling about that armed conflict in Ecuador?
I think the Kraden's gonna save me.
You're gonna be okay, huh? You're not scared?
The Kraden gives me courage.
All right, give me a YYZ. Are you worried about getting kidnapped?
Nah, they don't want me.
Not even a little bit? No?
I think you'd be a good worker. There's nothing wrong with sifting and sorting.
Yeah, sifting and sorting, tasting. Sift, snort, sniff.
I mean, at that point, you never know if you're leaving, you might as well.
That's right. Rolling into Panama City with this sweet wad.
Give me one on the cheek.
This is how we do it in the YYZ. 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 Fat stacks, you know? Fat stacks. All right, you take your 300.
Did you,
take your $100 in ones.
did you,
All of them are going to look like this on the way back.
They're crumpled up because we're not even going to roll them out. We're just going to crumple.
We're in Quito, in the designated smoking zone. I need to smoke. Now for our 5-hour car ride into the jungle. Welcome to Quito.
So after landing in Quito, there's only one way to get to the edge of the Amazon jungle, and that's a 5-hour car ride through the Andes Mountains. The lodge at which we contacted to stay has arranged this driver for us. Unfortunately, he doesn't speak any English, so we're just going to have to trust that he knows where he's going. It'd be nice to take this opportunity to sleep after a long flight, but we're keeping an eye out for danger. We've finally arrived at the edge of the jungle, and now we must take this boat across a river. The other side of the river is covered in dense jungle and has much less established roads, but this should be a quick car ride to our final destination. There did appear to be a high police presence in many of the small towns throughout the Andes Mountains, but for the most part, the journey has been uneventful and quiet. As we arrived quite late, we were immediately shown to our bungalow and got some much needed rest. Now that the sun is finally up, you can really take in the scope of this place, and it's absolutely beautiful. The thought of spending the next few days in this beautiful place surrounded by nature has us ready for adventure and eager to see what the day will bring. On the morning of the first day, we take our first guided tour into the jungle, and the reality of where we are begins to set in. We are lucky to have a guide who grew up in the area and is an expert on both the fauna and ecology of the jungle. As you walk here, you realize that this place is truly alive, and the sound of insects and animals surrounds you everywhere. Our long hike through the hot jungle is interrupted by intermediate stops to learn about the history, culture, plants, and animals that inhabit this place. Our guide has found a large termite nest built around the trunk of a tree.
Now they're happy, eh?
It doesn't take long in these beautiful surroundings to quickly forget about the prospect of any danger you may have encountered on the way here. Of course, the jungle itself is not without potential dangers. Putting your hand in the wrong place could result in a bite from something like a bullet ant. It's quite easy to get swept up in the beauty of this place, but you do need to be aware of your surroundings as well. Now in the light of day, we're back at the river that we crossed late last night. We'll be taking a ferry across, and then another car deeper into the jungle. Life here is obviously quite different from Canada, but its simplicity is not without its charm.
It's got to replace them, eh?
Some of these modes of transportation seem a bit rickety, and I'm not sure how much I completely trust them. But in many places of the world where resources are a little less abundant, you need to use ingenuity and thoughtfulness to keep things functional.
Yeah.
The people whom we've encountered here so far have been nothing but accommodating and polite. I'm beginning to think that some of the danger that was reported was a little overblown. It's now time to take a slow ride down the river into a much denser area of jungle. A baby monkey suddenly appears from out of the trees and calmly approaches us. It's clear that this animal has had interactions with human beings before. Without bothering to ask how I feel about it, he decides to perch on my shoulder and enjoy a meal. I didn't have expectations that he would stay for long, but he seems to have taken a liking in me.
What is it? You're licking my neck. Yeah, probably. No, he's more interested in my cologne, I think. I'm not food, just so you know. He looks disappointed by that.
He really likes you.
Yeah, he's licking me.
It seems I've made a friend, as he shows no interest in anyone except for me.
Look at the silliest look on his face. Yeah?
As we decide to move on, it seems he'll be joining us.
Oh, you want that?
Just grabbing some snacks on the way.
Oh, he's picking bugs off me. Thanks, buddy.
I'm starting to think that the world would be a much better place if everyone had their own monkey.
My new pet.
As we move along through the jungle, we're also lucky enough to encounter a group of tapirs. These peaceful animals are also exceptionally cute, particularly with their snout-like noses. From a safe distance, jungle predators keep a watchful eye. It's clear that these tapirs are also familiar with human beings, as they're quick to take any food that's offered and show no fear of us. These adorable animals are quite unique. To look at them, you'd think they closely resemble a pig, but their relatives are actually rhinos and zebras. They've also been long hunted as a food source for the indigenous tribes that inhabit the jungle.
Whoa, what was that, huh?
Super strong monkey. No? Very beautiful. This one is Tapirs.
It's clear that the animals here have come to see human beings as a source of food. Whether or not that's a good thing is debatable.
Now that he got what he wanted, he's leaving.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, all good things must come to an end, and it's time to say goodbye to my monkey friend, a fact which he is very unhappy about. As we slowly make our way back down the river, he runs alongside the shore for as long as he can, protesting our leaving.
Mm-hmm. We don't have room for him, unfortunately.
We finally make it back to the lodge to end day one and get some much needed rest. We awake on the second day to sunshine and the sound of birds, though in the jungle the sounds never stop, and at night it seems to be even louder. The size and variety of the insects that can be found here is truly stunning. After a good breakfast, we're back on the river again and on our way to another adventure. It doesn't take long for the days to heat up here. The cool breeze granted by flying down this rapid river is much welcome. My hope for today is to encounter more wildlife as we head into a deep river canyon for a good swim.
Yeah, I think you have to know this river pretty well to navigate it, eh? Look at this,
Yeah.
like, it's super shallow there. It's probably a very small area you can go through.
A variety of ever-present monkeys can be found everywhere we go. However, I have yet to see my friend from the other day again, and I find myself wondering how he's doing. As we approach the river canyon, which is our destination, you can see just how powerful this river would have to be to cut through this rock. Luckily, on this day, the water is quite shallow, which gives us the opportunity to venture inside, but this could quickly change if rains were to fall rapidly. Our guide is in constant communication with a weather monitoring station in the Andes Mountains. If there's any incoming changes to environmental conditions, we'll be alerted and have to leave immediately. It's quite the strenuous hike to the bottom of this canyon on a hot day, but this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and you just can't miss this place. The force that would be required to cut these channels and move these boulders is something that is ever present in the back of your mind while here. After a cool swim, we're on our way back to the top. And let me tell you, as hard as it was coming down, going back up is much harder. You need to pay attention here to what's overhead, but also your footing below. I'm also not quite sure about the construction of these handrails. I definitely wouldn't lean on them. It's pretty apparent that our guide is in peak physical shape, and he does this quite frequently. We're definitely slowing him down, but he's always patient and waits for us. Today is our last day in this beautiful place. It's hard not to become introspective, and I find myself not wanting to leave. As I enjoy the sunrise from my hammock, playful monkeys scurry across the roof of our bungalow. The abundancy of life here causes you to feel a strong connection to nature and question your place in the universe. It's moments like these where you have to really open your eyes and make sure you're taking everything in, because you may never be here again. We've arrived at the edge of a village which belongs to an indigenous tribe. These people still live a traditional lifestyle within the jungle. From here we'll make our way down a path and we'll feed live caimans.
You get to feed them today.
Okay.
Don't give it all to the big one. Let the babies have some food too.
Oh shit.
From the moment we arrived, these animals were completely aware of our presence, and they definitely know why we're here.
That's awesome. Make them work for it. He knows what you're doing, eh?
He knows.
He's like, I've played this game before. There you go.
Oh, look at this big guy just gliding.
Is that him making that noise?
They may look a little ferocious, but they're also kind of cute.
Oh god.
Those teeth aren't that scary. He's smart, right? He stays in the shade. He's just waiting for someone to dangle their leg.
This has been a truly amazing experience, but unfortunately, it's time to head back to the lodge as our driver is on his way to pick us up and return us to the airport. The 5-hour return drive through the Andes during daylight is a completely different experience. Ecuador is a beautiful country with amazing people, and I'm eager to return here as soon as possible. We're feeling a bit melancholy, but also very excited, as we have many more stops along the way before we're back in Canada. And I'm also eager to see the friends who we left in Guayaquil.